Welcome back to Bailiwick of Guernsey Shipwrecks. I'm JP Falaise and this is the channel where you come out with us for a dive. And it's another scallop dive today. It's a bank holiday Monday after Easter and it's almost time to go back to work. But today we got off, so we're going to go diving and we're going to go probably somewhere along there. Not quite sure where, it's normally up to Richard where we go. See, there's Castle Corner. Alongside there's a small pole and arrow on it, that's Oyster Rock. And there's no oysters there, but there used to be. In the 1700s, that was nicknamed Oyster Rock because this is where the Guernsey people used to fatten up their oysters, anchor them to the seabed. So they used to basically keep them fresh. They used to anchor them, bring them in to the low tide mark, and then the tide used to go out. People used to go down, buy their oysters, the tide used to come back up and keep them fresh, keep them alive. And apparently Guernsey figured out how to do that before the UK, which is quite random, but seems so obvious nowadays that you keep them in the water as long as you can. The sun is trying to poke his head out and Sylvia is just down over here. So I'm gonna go and pick my dive tanks up and we're gonna diving! Let's get gear on! Welcome back below the waves, I'm JP Falaise. Today we are up north, believe it or not. And we are going to look for king scallops around this reef. Now after I flooded my GoPro 9 a few weeks back, when I was trying to use a macro lens on it, I decided to buy a new one. And when I say a new one, I mean a new action camera. So I've got the GoPro 11 still on the bottom with the macro, no problems with it, absolutely great. But I've also went and bought myself an Insta 360 Ace Pro, which is at the top. This has got a larger sensor, which means it can catch more light, which means we shouldn't be burdened by the darkness all the time by the cameras. But anyway, this isn't a review of the camera, I'm just showing you that I'm going to use this. And you can make your own decisions if it's better or not. So on the left we've got the Insta and on the right we've got the GoPro 11. The colours on the Insta look a little bit more washed out, but I've always found the colours on the GoPros to be a little bit Disneyfied. And when I mean Disneyfied, I mean like the colours are not the same as what I'm seeing, they seem to be a little bit more vibrant. One thing I've noticed is the amount of noise in the GoPro one. So if you look on the right hand side, look how much noise there is. These dots. You can see this is filmed exactly the same time. The issue is, and I'm kicking myself now because this is why I'm no good at doing reviews for cameras or any technology, because I had it set in the wrong setting for the Insta 360. I actually seen the setting that says pure video and just chose that one because it said ultra low light situations, but yeah, it's not for diving. That's why it's hunting around all the time trying to look. So there's a little bit of footage even though it's in the wrong setting of the Insta 360. Another thing I'm quite happy with is its stabilisation. Check out what it's like on this newly found anchor. Also worth mentioning they're both on 4K 30 frames per second as well. My dive torches are trying to burn out the picture a little bit, but I can't adjust them that much, so you're going to see it go a little bit red. Ah, hermit crab just fell off. He probably spent half a day climbing there. Let's put him back on the top. Not quite sure what that is. It's weird. It's like a unicorn horn. Let's get a macro of it. This is an auger shell. A carnivorous snail that preys on marine worms. Also got one of them venomous barbs that immobilises and stuns its prey before it eats it. As you can tell, yet again, to the person that's not that good with cameras, getting it out of the box and just starting to film and looking probably doesn't work. I really should read the instructions, but I'm a bloke, so I won't. So one thing I've learned, the lights on this camera, when it's set to this setting, it just bleaches everything out pretty much. It turns bright orange, as you can see on the right. Look at this. That's a cool. It's a Ballon Wrasse. There's two under there. If you've seen the channel before, this is what I would term as a wrasse hole. So you tend to get rocks where a load of wrasse would congregate underneath one rock. We live and learn. So I know now that this setting is no good with my dive lights. I think they're just too powerful. It's like oversaturated. We're here to have a dive and enjoy ourselves. If I can bring you some better quality footage, I will. And at the moment, this camera seems, I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. It's nice and easy, very easy to use. Then again, the GoPros are very easy to use as well. I do enjoy this dive location. This is what we call Reffee. This is on the edge of the what is a desert, pretty much desert of sand. These are the reefs, they're right along the edge. Take a look at the size of this. Just goes to show the sort of tides you have here. That should be growing in 2 planes, so it's a fan, but it's actually growing in 3 dimensions. So shows the tides around here all over the shop. There's a feather duster worm. Just trying to see how close I can get to it, to be honest, with this camera. What we need to do is get the GoPro 11 on with the macro. You can see all the tiny feather-like structures which are catching the food from the water, and basically it will pull itself in, it will retract itself back into its leathery tube. This camera does utilise AI to try and blend in the shadow areas. I don't know how it does it. In all these areas between the reef, it's absolutely slack water now, so there's no tide whatsoever. And you see all these gobies come out onto the sand. There's loads of them. Shame there's not a lot of scallops around. Also, I'm checking under all the rocks because it's this time of year we're starting to see a little bit more on the crayfish side, and I love them things as well. Oh, look at this. So I found that anchor before, never seen that anchor before. It's now made it into my list. I think that's anchor number 18. But look at this, it's a big chain. Not quite sure what this chain's from. Was it from a boat, or was it just an old mooring that was chucked over the side? We'll never know, but there's a big pile of it. We better carry on, so I need to get at least 2 dozen scallops today. And there's some here hidden right behind this kelp. Very well hidden. One thing I do notice when it's slack water, everything seems to be calm. These are kind of the best dives if you want to do some filming, but if you're scalloping, not ideal. But I love it when it's like this. If you're anything like me, you kind of forget what the other cameras look like, so I can only really appreciate it when it's side alongside, but it makes me kind of sick seeing two pictures at the same time. So let's just swap back onto the GoPro 11 and see what it can do. I got a bit caught out here. I was trying to reel my line in so it doesn't tangle around my neck or around the back of my regs, and I've just seen a shark out the corner of my eye. Looks like it is protecting a sherd of some old Chinese expensive pottery. I love them sharks. No commercial value whatsoever, and a pest to fishermen. Ah, we have our competition. Scallop diver's arch nemesis, the very efficient starfish. He's actually got one here and he's prized it open, and he's managed to get his mouth, which is in the middle, inside. So he's probably injecting enzymes and breaking it down into a liquid and slurping it out. Get the macro on this as well. Lovely big scallop in between the rocks. He did have his little frills out, but he's retracted them now. There's plenty of these little whelks here as well. Still with the GoPro 11, you can see that everything seems a lot more colourful. It's not so, I don't know, so bland. But underwater, my eyesight is more attuned with the Insta 360 rather than this. This seems to make it maybe a little bit more inviting and a little bit warmer. These netted whelks must have a really good sense for something that's died, because look how many's here. It's eating basically the carcass of an old crab. This worried me a little bit. I could see a diving shaped object. Someone's fin. Carefully approach it. Just make sure there's yeah, the strap's broken. Someone's lost this, maybe getting back on the boat, or someone probably may have chucked it overboard because it was no longer usable. Looks fairly old. We're at a point in the dive now where we're kind of surrounded with reef with very little sand. Quite a nice place to be in, bit to see, but we're not getting many scallops. So I'm going to try and swim, if I can, away from this reef. And these are also coming back in now. This is a large male spider crab, a European spider crab. It's quite cool to see them coming back in because it gives me a weird sense inside that summer's finally on its way. The whole dive I'm having to stop and clear my mask. Problem is I've got a little bit of a moustache growing at the moment, and a bit of growth there, and it keeps leaking and filling my mask up. Less than ideal. I think it's time to head back up. Again, back onto the Insta 360 just to see what it's like up near the surface. Due to the imposing weather that's meant to be coming, we just do one long dive today and we head back to the harbour.
I've not seen you about 5 or 6 months. I've been there myself. Over there. Very good.
Really, this dive is only a mess around for me to see what the cameras are like. But I was quite happy with some of the footage we got, so I decided to edit a video so you can come along this one as well. Hope you enjoyed it, and keep an eye out for part 2 of my dive from the last video, and there's more stuff to come. Thanks a lot, and I'll catch you on the next tide.